So I passed the word over to you because
Yeah,
it
please
says
do.
Veeam Data Platform, and I think you're
Yep.
the specialist, right?
Yep. And this is going to be a little bit more generic on Veeam Data Platform. Do we have a clicker somewhere?
Yeah, sure.
It's over here. Does it work? It works. That's good. So you're all familiar with Veeam? Who isn't? Who has never heard of Veeam before? Because would like to have a one-on-one with that person. So you've all heard from Veeam, and we started out in 2006 as a company. So we just became adults. We've just turned 18 this year, so that's good. And if you look at Veeam, then there's a couple things going on. Of course, data backup. That's always been the important part of Veeam as a company. Make sure that the data that you have is secure, is safe, that you can rely on Veeam to take care of that. It's also one of the things that kind of triggers you if you look at the way ransomware works. You know, ransomware used to do encryption of everything, right? That was the goal. Let's encrypt everything and then hold it hostage. We now see a trend that things are changing a bit, and ransomware takers are going into something called exfiltration. Does that ring a bell to you? It means that when you say, well, you know, I don't care that you encrypted my production systems because I have a backup, and the guy on the other end says, so do I. Would you like it on the internet? That's a bit of an issue. So we, as a backup vendor, are the focus point of that, because when your company has 200 applications out there and with all these servers running, they can try and get into all those 200 systems, or they can get to the single copy that has all the data of those 200 systems, which is your backup repository. So it needs to be absolutely secure. It needs to be certain. It needs to be safe. That's why we employ the zero trust principle, which means that we do not trust our backup server to always be safe. We keep it in a separate region. We don't trust the proxies to be safe. We keep them in separate regions. And we certainly don't trust the repositories to be safe, so we keep it in a in a separate region, and we make sure it's immutable. So make sure that data, it cannot be changed. And immutable is only one step of protection, but taking it out and offline and vaulting it, that's the next step. So that's data backup. Data recovery is the other point. Recovery needs to be quick, needs to be snappy. And one of the technologies that we use is instant recovery. Does everybody know what instant recovery means in the context of Veeam? It means that in a regular backup software, you would go ahead and try to restore everything to your production system and then bring it up. Why not reverse that? Why not first bring your systems up and then restore it? How do we do that? We actually present the Veeam repositories as a data store for your virtualization platform. And we run from there. And that's cool. Because after that, you could take some native technology like storage vMotion and just move the stuff to production while it's still running. You already have access to all your data and all your applications. We do that for virtual machines, we do that for NAS and so on. One thing, usually your backup repositories do not perform as well as your production storage. So you'll have some impact. Well, I just learned that this is a very fast system. So it might actually help to have a system like that as your backup repository, because you can actually run a lot of production workloads straight from there. Data freedom, another pillar in our portfolio. Who of you is running VMware? Who is planning to move away from VMware? None? all of you are covered? Wow. Well, that's not our experience. We've had a lot of stories about people being sticker shocked by the renewals of VMware and looking at other options. Well, one of the things that we promote is data freedom, where you can actually move your backups from a VMware platform to some other hypervisor. And that could be Nutanix, that could be Hyper-V, it could be a cloud, it could be Proxmox these days. So being able to reuse your backups on another platform and be part of the conversion system, that's something that we as Veeam do. Then there's data security. Data security makes sure that everything that you write onto your repositories is secure, is safe, is immutable, is encrypted. All of that is supported as well. Last but not least, data intelligence. You can tell that there's value in data. As where is he? The silent AI guy. Where is he? Right there, straight in front of me. What do? You need a pool of data to that is your data, that is isolated, to make sure that you can teach your AI models what that is. Well, how about using this? And how about using Veeam to make sure that you can access it? We have APIs as well, and we can allow you to see your backups as disks. You can just connect them to anything and do your analysis, do inputs. Makes it really easy. So, if we look at the zero trust situation, what we do is we make sure that there is a separation of responsibilities. We make sure that the backup software itself is separate from the storage itself. And if possible, we would like you to have a copy offsite. Well, is there a storage in the room that allows you to do that?
This, by the way, and this, by the way, could be a silent brick system as well.
Yeah, both of them could be.
Pro system. And may I add this?
Yeah, sure.
The idea of stretching it out and to separate the backup software from the backup storage is actually something that we follow up. So what we do is we separate the storage media from the storage controller. So the zero trust technology that you follow is something that we also keep and follow up on our side.
Exactly. So make sure that you do that. If you look at Veeam from a portfolio, we used to be associated with just VMware, and then maybe a little bit of Hyper-V. If you look at what we support today, it's quite a matrix already. There's stuff in there that nobody thought possible about 3, 4, 5 years ago. How about AIX or Solaris? We can support that. How about hypervisors like Proxmox, but also Red Hat, other KVM systems? We support those. You can rely on Veeam to have your back when you really need to have your backups. Also, newer technologies like Kubernetes. You want to make sure that your Kubernetes persistent data is also in backups. We can do that. And you can store it onto S3 on a brick. That works. If we look at the portfolio itself, and this is more a sales pitch than anything else really, but we actually have 3 levels of product. We have the part that takes care of all the data management, which is backup, replication, everything that has to do with moving data back and forth, Veeam Backup and replication. It supports all of these platforms. However, if you want to have more insights, if you want to have the security features, if you want to have YARA rule scanning and so on, then the next step is the advanced version. It will give you the reporting, the real-time alerting, everything that you need for insights. Anyone dealing with NIS2 at all? Yeah. One of the things that you need for NIS2 is you have to be able to report what happened if you get hit. But you also have to prove that you're ready for recovery. That's something that the advanced version will help you. And if your company is under under rules that demand that you will be up and running within a specific time, then you have to have a plan. You have to be able to do full disaster recovery. And best of all, you want it orchestrated. That's what we have Premium for. that's where you can actually make sure that when you do get hit by anything, be it ransomware, but also natural disasters, that there is a plan, there is a copy of your data, and there are resources. Every day we'll check if everything is in place to make sure that you can recover. And you'll get a nice readiness report that will show you that. And that will also help when the auditor stops by. They'll go, here it is, yes, we're prepared. And of course, no Veeam presentation is ready without the 3-to-1 slides. 3 copies of your data, 2 different media, 1 off-site, air-gapped. Air-gapped. I'm sure you've seen the little demonstration where that little nice container with 96 terabytes of NVMe pops out. That's what an air gap is. Make sure that you make use of it. And we will take care of making sure that there are no errors in that backup.
You at Veeam say 3-to-1, we say silent brick system.
Sure.
Because it's actually
make it a nice blue line around it.
Yeah,
cool with me.
good idea.
So that's it for me. I'll happily give the presenter to
But please
René.
stay on stage because I need your expertise when we go to the numbers. So thanks a lot. That was the perspective from Veeam, and is, I think, quite a strong portfolio. Very many possibilities to secure data from different platforms to different platforms.
Yep.
There's only one thing I would like to add, because for sure I'm the on-premise guy. We sell on-premise storage, so whenever I talk to a customer and he says, well, we are planning to probably do our backup to the cloud, it is always something where I say, think about it, because you want to do a recovery as well, and the recovery from the cloud could be very slow. That is like in Bavaria, we have the Oktoberfest. It's like sitting there with a beer, with a big beer and a straw, and getting the beer out of the straw. That is nothing that works. And is very expensive, right? But many of the customers say, well, we are planning that probably in case of an attack, we just start up the whole infrastructure in the cloud, and we need it, or we use it as a shifting strategy to move everything to the cloud. That is something that I got informed about, that this is called lift and shift. That means you're backing up your data, moving it over, starting it there, and let it run. And that is something that is not cost efficient. That is a big problem, because it is very expensive if you don't move your data to the cloud in the correct way. The correct way is not, for example, to move your domain controller to the cloud and get it up and running, but it is to migrate everything from a local domain to Entra ID, for example. That would be the right way. It's not the right way to back up into the cloud and run everything from there. So just keep that in mind. But now back to data security. I created this circle to have all the things that we do here. So we offer the immutability, we offer the air gap feature, we have the batch mix, as you have seen it in the frame, that we use different vendors, if possible, of the NVMe modules, as well as in the silent brick system. We have this auditing, which is checking data regularly in the background, so that even if you put your backup data there for the next 10 years, please don't do this. Therefore, we got the silent cube system. But if you do this, that backup data is always checked, even if you don't access it in a regular basis, or even if you don't ever access this anymore. You can always be sure that the backup data is still there and still valid, because it's audited. And then we got this all-inclusive maintenance. That is something that I didn't mention yet, that all of our systems have a life cycle of 10 years, which means up to 10 years under the same conditions, the Silent Brick system and the Silent Brick Pro system and the Silent Cube controller, Silent Cube system, can be maintained under the same conditions. And it's always a maintenance that is made by us in Comex. That means it's made by the vendor, it's made by us, it's very, very short ways, and you will always have replaced anything that is faulty, all software updates included, and even the fast clone support, for example, doesn't need another license. It's just an update, because we say it's cool, we want to spread it, and everyone can use it if he wants to. So it's included in our software. But that sounds very good, sounds like that solves everything, but actually the remote control doesn't work. It works. If there wasn't this tension. The field of tension here is that you want to have a secured restore. So I said, please always focus on the restore. I want to make sure that my restore can be done at any point. That can be done with the immutability feature, so you can be secure that you can restore your data. Then we got this RTO, so you want to make sure that your data is not too old when it comes back, that it comes back in a reasonable time, that everyone should define for himself. Then you want to be secured against cyber attacks. You want to have a mid to long-term retention of the data. The short-term retention is more on the performance layer. The mid-term retention is more on the capacity layer. And in the end, everything in one system would mean I need maximum performance with a lot of storage, and that doesn't fit into the budget. So this is a big tension which has to be solved. And the solution for this tension is to split the backup to different tiers or to different targets. And what we did here, we didn't do the 3-2-1 rule, we do the 1-2-3 rule. But in the end, it's the same because we're talking about 3 different copies on different media. And we start on the left side with a maximum performance target, which means getting your data as fast as possible, restore focused for the traditional restore. If something fails, domain controller update fails, restore it as fast as possible. Otherwise, the company will stand still, and that costs a lot of money. Then whenever it comes to something like a ransomware attack where you have to do forensic, you need older data as well. You don't want to put 1 year of data to the maximum performance storage because that's too expensive, budget problem. So we go on to the next backup target, which is a little bit slower, but therefore more affordable. More capacity, a better price per terabyte. So we go over to this one. No matter if we're talking about performance tier, capacity tier, or if we're talking about a backup and a backup copy job, that is the second thing. Up to now, we wouldn't have any immutability yet. So in an old-fashioned way, you would now go and take a tape library and create a tape copy each single day because you want to fulfill your RTO and RPO even if something fails from your tape. That doesn't make sense anymore because nowadays we got software immutability as well, which creates a very, very high border for anyone who wants to attack your system. So you can, in many cases, rely on the software immutability, but in the end, software stays attackable. We are the hardware guys. We know what we're talking about. So hardware immutability on the backup layer is only possible by taking the media out and disconnecting it physically from the device. Because then anyone that comes to your company, actually we had this study right now. There was a case where white hat hackers attacked a company by putting on a one jacket, walked in and said, hey, we do the service, and they hacked all the computers and nobody said anything. That is also something that is very, very important to be aware of, and therefore the last line of defense, the offline media, is not attackable because you cannot attack it on the digital way. So splitting everything into 3 layers helps a lot to get rid of the tension. And now let's have a look at the numbers, because all of these 3 layers were something that I did a test with. So we start with the classical backup to disk target. That is what I already told before. We gained an average performance of 4.7 gigabytes per second, and I even included the Veeam screenshot.
Is it really that linear? That's amazing.
It's that linear. Yeah? Well, what does it mean if it is that linear?
Well, it means that there is no bottlenecks anywhere in that system, and that it is able to perform at its full speed. I never see this. I usually see a lot more variation in the performance. So
okay.
Well done.
That is good to know. But I actually, as I said before, I didn't do any optimization in the system, no fine-tuning, nothing. It was just a plain backup to disk job from Veeam. And for me, I expect it to be even faster if we do some fine-tuning, if we probably use the scale-out backup repository and split it to multiple Silent bricks, then I think we can multiply this value to a maximum. Mm-hmm. Don't forget the fast clone support, which is really, really fast, especially when it comes to a synthetic full backup. Like, for example, you're running your backups for 1 week, you create a full backup on the first day, then you create increments on the rest of the week, and then on the weekend you create another full backup. In the traditional way, for example, 100 terabyte of data, it will take you up to 6 hours here and up to 34 hours on the Silent Brick Plus to write the new full backup. Thanks to fast clone support, the new full backup is generated on the Silent Brick system, which then doesn't take 6 or 34 hours, but probably 10 minutes to 2 hours. That is way faster because it just merges the packages that are already existing on the layer or on the storage itself.
It's just as fast as an incremental itself.
Right.
'Cause it's another incremental, and from that incremental and the previous ones, with the image of the previous full, we create a new full. That's what the way it works. And the good thing is, it doesn't take extra capacity. It's just a logical view.
So if you have a view on 1 month, we're not talking about 4 full backups of 100 terabytes.
Right.
We're just talking about 100 terabyte and some increments.
Yep.
And that makes it much smaller. Probably also an idea to just create this here and take it out and put it into the vault. So you have a backup to disk copy that you can take out and put it into the vault. Very easy and very fast to recover. Okay, let's move on. We are all hungry. Oh yeah, I did also a peak test to see how fast I can get on our side straight to the system. And I reached a peak of up to 6.4 gigabytes per second. So that is what I get out of the box with one system and one brick as the maximum peak at the moment. So I guess we can trim Veeam to reach at least 6.4 gigabytes per second instead of 4.7.
Yeah.
That speeds up everything. So on the backup copy, for sure, we are talking about hard disks now. So hard disks are spinning, hard disks are slower, to be honest. And here we are reaching a performance of 884 megabytes per second at the moment, but we are also trying to fine-tune this as well. Again, it's not tuned, it's not optimized. This is out of the box, the performance that I can reach with a backup copy job to my capacity target. I think for forensics, that should be enough.
Yeah, that's fine. And also remember that the incrementals and fulls that you take as a primary job, those talk to your production systems, so that those have an impact. A copy job doesn't talk to your production system, so if it takes a bit longer, it doesn't really matter. You don't have any impact.
Right, and that is, by the way, the same performance as the Silent Brick Plus had before. So we're talking about spinning disk on this device with the same performance as the SSD brick in the classical Silent Brick system. Object Store, very interesting because it's the new one in the streets. And I said before I didn't try it with 4 megabyte block size. I did this after our last show because Marcel from Germany said, give it a try with 4 megabytes block size, and I reached over 2 gigabytes per second.
Cool.
So I came up to 2.1 in another test to 2.4 gigabytes per second with a block size of 4 megabytes, but still nothing optimized. And I think it's important to mention that we're talking about a single bucket on a single device again. So no scale out backup repository, just a single bucket on a single device. This can be extended with multiple devices and a scale up backup repository.
I'll also point out the Veeam Ready logo that's right there. Don't underestimate that. You have to go through a number of stringent tests to be able to get that Veeam Ready sticker from us, and this will be listed on our website as being Veeam Ready.
Right. And by the way, there's something missing because it's Veeam Ready with the, it's a funny name, SOS API, sounds like emergency.
No, Smart Object Storage API, and there's a reason for that. If you talk S3 under normal circumstances to a cloud, then and you ask how much storage do I have available, it'll say limitless. There is no limit to it. The Smart Object Storage API will allow us as Veeam to query the storage system and say how much do we actually have left on this bucket, and maybe we should switch to a different one. So there is more interaction between our software and the hardware. So the SOS API is really important.
And again, it's an invention by Veeam and implemented by us. So again, we are an integrated system.
Yep.
Well, and then the air gap. To be honest, I didn't do any tests because time was short. But anyways, just wanted to show you the different ways of how to create an air gap of your data. So there are different ways. The easiest way and the straightforward way is to take one of the bricks or multiple bricks and assign them to a virtual tape library. So the silent brick will be attached to Veeam as a tape. Veeam thinks I'm talking to a tape, but in the end, the size can be 96 terabytes or probably 48 terabytes or whatever. And the advantage is that Veeam will control everything that happens. It will switch the brick on, it will switch the brick off, and it can even physically eject the brick directly after the backup job. Yep. And that is something that is very important, because when we're talking about tape libraries in a backup job, many people use it because they say it's secure against ransomware and they leave the tapes inside. It's that easy to send a command to the tape library, load every tape and delete all of them, and then it's done. You don't have to do anything else. So that is a command that I said once, and then I focus on the rest, because it will delete itself. So whenever you use a tape library, take it out. Otherwise, it's the first target.
Yep.
That was clear. Yep.
Absolutely. No, absolutely true. There's for virtual tapes, this is just the way to go. This is as close to real tape as you can emulate it. Being able to physically take it out and physically move it to a secure location, perfect.
Especially when we are talking about a location on another site. That is also something that I'm facing quite often. The customers say, yeah, we're using a tape library, but it's on a different site and nobody can get there, or it is in a data center with limited access. There's nobody that can take the tape out, so we don't have any chance. With the system, you can physically eject them, and then from time to time get someone who pushes it in again for overwriting it. And that is securing it directly after the backup.
And don't underestimate the bandwidth requirements as well. There's plenty of sites that have like two data centers, and they say, well, you know, I'll just pull it from the other data center across my 10 gig fiber channel line. Perfect. Do the calculation. It's amazing how much bandwidth just a taxi has, let alone a truck with media. Just take it physically out there, transporting that. You could do 10 in a little suitcase and just transport it, and it'll be there in no time.
Also available, by the way, the suitcase.
Ta-da!
Ta-da. Another alternative is to work with a Veeam rotated disk mode. To be honest, that has a downside with the fast clone support, because it's not supported there as far as I know.
Yep.
So the rotated disk mode is a little bit of workaround, so to say. Another alternative is to create or to write data to one silent brick and then create an internal copy to another one and take this one out. And the third alternative is coming down the road with object store, because I heard that Veeam is moving forward with object store and implementing new features that will play along with our implementation. That means unofficial information, don't spread it. That means that in the future, the air gap could also be a bucket to go. So just create a copy of your S3 bucket, take it out, and put it aside. So you always have an S3 bucket that you can put in, can do your instant recovery directly from the offline media, and restore data as fast as possible. And all with the automatic eject support. Well, just to show you a picture, the big picture, how it looks like, we're talking about a very easy picture here. So we got the source infrastructure, no matter if we're talking about a VMware or Broadcom, however it is called nowadays, or a Hyper-V infrastructure, or probably Proxmox infrastructure. We got a Veeam server and a tape server, which can be the same actually. And from there on, we want to get rid of our data. Not get rid by deleting, but get rid by storing. That is important. And we can now store to the silent brick device as a backup to disk media. We can create copies of it. We can use the capacity tier or a backup copy. We can also use the silent brick as an object store, and we can also use it as a virtual tape library as an example in order to make an easy and automatic eject of the media directly after the backup job. Just to give you the whole picture. And for sure, everything is Veeam ready. The only thing that is missing here is Veeam ready tape library. The reason is I'm still waiting for the answer from you guys.
We're so slow.
So for the latest product, for sure for the silent brick system, Veeam ready tape is also available, but the tests were successful. They just need some additional information from me to put it into the database. That's all. So that is the all-new silent brick controller in combination with Veeam. I say thanks a lot. I say, I don't know. Do you want to say something, or shall I finish it here? Okay. Enjoy the food. Talk with each other. Let us network. Let us find out if there's any solution available for you. And thanks a lot.